Alright, you guys have probably seen this thing sitting over here in the last few videos. I actually picked this thing up probably a month and a half ago now. And this is a 2000 Honda 400EX. And the plastics, as you can see, are in excellent condition. No cracks in the plastics at all, which is super rare. Has the original seat on it. Couple small rips in the seat, but nothing too bad. And I don't really know anything about this quad other than that the previous owner tore it down and then never put it back together. So you can see the top end is torn down completely on it. I did feel the rod bearing and the rod feels good. So the bottom end I'm assuming is good. The whole clutch cover was off of it for some reason. Not really sure why. I don't know if he was going to replace the timing chain and never did, or what was going on there, but he tore down the clutch side as well. So we'll have to dig into that and see what's going on there. I really don't know why he tore that down. It does have the stock carburetor on it. Looks like it at least, yep, Keihin carb. So that's good. And I don't think there's any oil in it, obviously, because the clutch cover is off of it. Looks like the wiring's kind of janky in the front. I don't really know what's going on with the wiring. It's missing the neutral light. And then the ignition is down here somewhere. So he really had the whole thing torn apart. The pipe is off of it. It has a, what kind of pipe does it have? White Brothers R4 exhaust on there. I believe it's a full exhaust. So, and then the side plastics are actually pretty nice on it too. I mean, not bad at all. So it should look pretty nice when we get done with it. Then we've got the cylinder head here. Take that out, take a look at that. Here's the cylinder head. And we'll take a look at the stock piston and cylinder as well. But we can take the valve cover off here. Valves look pretty good. So again, not really sure why he tore it down. Alright, so these are the original piston and cylinder. You can see the piston doesn't look too bad. It was 2 millimeters over bore though, so it's definitely a big bore. The cylinder, however, has some scratches. You can see it looks like that's maybe where the piston sat in there. Got stuck, and you can definitely get your fingernail in there a little bit. So I tried honing out the cylinder already, and I can still feel that imperfection down there. So I don't know if we're going to reuse that or not. You could probably hone it out and get away with it, but I don't know. But let's take a look at the rockers next and what the cam looks like here. So rockers all look good. So those look good. And then here's the cam. Just a stock cam in here. Came with. All the bearings feel good. Cam feels good. All the valves push down. So none of those are bent. Yeah, head doesn't look too bad. Chain and sprocket look pretty worn on it. You can see all rusty. The rear sprocket is starting to look weird. The teeth are kind of thin on it. But everything else looks pretty decent. Looks like that bolt is broken off for the engine case saver there. I believe it does shift into gear. So really it's pretty much complete. But when I first got this thing, I was like, we could probably get away with reusing the cylinder. but then I decided not to, and we actually bought a different cylinder and piston for it. So with this one, I'm going to challenge myself to do the cheapest build possible. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of money out there, and a lot of people look for the cheapest possible option when rebuilding their Honda 400EX. So this is going to be the test of all the cheap parts. We got everything the cheapest on this thing. Literally the cheapest sprocket, the cheapest chain, the cheapest grips. We got neutral light for it. We got all those sprockets, the cheapest air filter you can get. I think this was like $7. We got the cheapest top end kit. This kit is the Niche Industries kit, and it is like $70 for the full top end. Super, super cheap. So all in all, I think I spent like $200 on everything. So we will test out today and see see how this goes. And then I got a timing chain as well that was like super cheap. So you can see in here, cheapest timing. So this whole kit, the timing chain, the guides, it was like $20. So really, really cheap. Everything was like the cheapest option I could find on eBay or Amazon. It should be interesting. So I guess let's start rebuilding this thing and see if we can get this thing to fire up today. All right, I also ordered up a brand new battery for it too from Amazon. I think it was like $25 for the battery. So definitely the cheapest battery I could possibly get as well. But that still didn't come yet. The air filter you can see is just junk on this. Foam is really, really bad. There's like a mouse nest in there. It's just kind of grimy all over. But I have no idea if this thing has spark or anything. I have no idea if the CDI works, but we'll figure all that stuff out once we get this thing rebuilt. So I think what we're first gonna do is check out the clutch area, just make sure there's no metal particles in there, make sure everything looks good in this area. We've got the new timing chain to replace, and the new guide as well. This one's a little chewed up. So let's start with the clutch side and go from there. All right, we'll get this timing chain off and kind of compare it to the new one, see if that was a problem as to why they rebuilt it. I know that the piston and the cylinder were a little bit scored, so maybe it was low compression as well. But it didn't look like the rings were stuck or anything like that. So it's a little bit worrisome to me is that the guy got this far and then just quit. So I'm hoping he didn't run into a problem and then decide to sell it. Everything looks good so far. So this one, that's like a lock nut. You just have to tap that little piece that's bent up. Right now this thing should come off. All right. Everything looks good in there so far. Shifting star looks good. Nothing looks too out of place here. I don't think there's any oil in it to pump. Kind of hard to test out. But let's get this old timing chain guide out first here. So with this guide, there's actually a washer on the inside. You can kind of see. That's how it's set up like that. And then, I think we've got to take off the whole, forgot about that, you got to take off the whole oil pump to get to this. Fun. I think this can just come off of here. Like that. There's the oil pump. No metal chunks or anything in there, so that's good. Very smooth as well. Alright, we'll have to check that out a little bit later. But so far, no metal pieces at all in this thing, which is great. Now we can get this chain off of here, I think. Cam chain out. Let's go compare that to the new one. Alright, so here's the old cam chain. See how it's kind of like hard to move? It's getting like bound up. Kind of just stays like that. It should be pretty floppy, but it's like kind of like crunchy in there. That's not good. So here is the old one. Let's get the new one. This came with the tensioner. I'll test out this tensioner as well. It's like $3 for the tensioner because the whole kit was 20 bucks. Got the guides, both guides came in this kit. I'll have to post a link to all this stuff because this stuff was like extremely cheap. I don't know how they could even make it that cheap. But here's the cam chain. Here's the new one. See, this is a little bit better. Look at that, it doesn't bind up like that. It just flows, doesn't get bound up. And it looks like the other one wasn't stretched too bad. A little bit. You can see it's a little longer over here, but not too bad. Kind of hard to tell. You can see maybe a little bit longer. But we'll install the new one and throw this one away. Alright, we've got the new cam chain on. Just for comparison, I'll show you guys the new guide versus the old one. See what it looks like here. So it looks like it's red, reddish pink. Here is the old one. This one actually wasn't chewed up at all. Must have been the other guide, but they're perfectly the same. A little different right there. You can see the base right here is a little bit bigger. See that? So I'm hoping that doesn't cause a problem. Look at that. That square is a little bit bigger. So we'll install the new one just for testing purposes, because we'll probably tear this thing down again after a few months of riding it and just see how everything's holding up. One more thing on the clutch side I want to check is the little screen right there that you can take out. Let's see if we can get to it. Ooh, look at all that gunk on there. It's not looking so hot. Looks like a live gasket material. Not a ton of metal. Let's see if it's metal or aluminum. Oh, it's definitely metal. Interesting. So some of it's metal in there, some of it's aluminum. That is not good. I'm just gonna see if it shifts one more time, make sure it goes through the gears. Alright, screen is all cleaned off, going back in. I tried to shift this thing and it shifts really smoothly, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the transmission, because it shifts really good. So we'll get everything back together in the clutch side and then we'll start working on that top end. Alright, well so far we've got the cheapest guide in there, the cheapest timing chain in there. So we'll see how long those last. Let's start working on the top end here. I'll show you guys the kit we got. Alright, so here's like the cheapest kit you can get online. Extremely cheap. I think they even sell like complete top ends with the head and everything. They're like 200 bucks. Really cheap. But we've got it comes with the gasket kit as well for 70 bucks. Crazy. Oh, and you get an NGK spark plug with it. It's pretty cool. So we got a brand new plug as well. Let's see what this is right here. Alright. Here are the piston and the piston rings. Looking pretty good. The clips, everything's good to go with that. Alright. And here's the cylinder. Let's see what that looks like. So with the cylinder, a lot of people say that you gotta hone them out still, just because they sometimes leave burrs and stuff on their cylinders. That's what that looks like. Pretty nice. It says niche on there, so if you ever buy a Honda 400EX, you can see what kind of cylinder you have. It's not stamped on here at all. So the original one will say like it's a 398cc. So yeah, I think I might give this a slight hone. You can see some nicks right here. We've got to switch up the studs in here to go over to the cylinder. It doesn't come pre-installed. So what we did was take 2 nuts, stack them, tighten the top nut onto the second nut, and then we're spinning the second nut out of here. And it takes it right out. That's the easiest way to get them out of here. Then you just want to clean up those threads a little bit. And we'll transfer them over, make sure the different lengths are in the correct spot. So you can see this one's a lot taller than that one, this one's taller than that one, but shorter than that one. So you want them all in the correct spot. This one goes in here. Same thing with the nuts. You're just going to tighten the top one now instead of the bottom one. So as you tighten this one, it'll lock on to the bottom nut and keep it from spinning. You can really tighten her in. See, and then stop spinning. And that's how you do that. We've got 3 more to go. All right, more likely than not, you're gonna run into a problem where you can't get the stud out. Like this one right here, that thing's stuck in there. I tried PB Blaster, penetrating oil, everything. Shoved down that hole, let it sit for probably an hour. Still nothing. So we are going to heat up the surrounding area around the bolt here. And what you want to do, what I do, is heat up this area right here, this area, and this area. You don't want to heat up the bolt because you want the metal to expand away from the bolt. If you heat up the bolt expands into the cylinder. You don't want that. And then we'll get really, really tight. So we're going to heat up this area, that area, and this area. And hopefully we can get this thing to come out. Let's give that a shot here. Hopefully it'll come right out. You doesn't want to. Heat that up some more, try again. Alright, I've spent the last hour trying to get this thing out. I've cooled it down, heated it back up, cooled it down, heated it back up, put penetrating oil down it, and nothing is working for this thing. So we're going to move on, and we'll come back to it and tackle it either tomorrow or the next day, but man, this thing is getting annoying. We'll see how well this base gasket holds up too. It's pretty thin feeling. Alright, before we go ahead and install the piston rings on the piston, I want to quick check the ring gap. You can see I installed the first ring. There's the gap right there. Kind of hard to see. Let's quick measure that. It looks pretty small. Let's see here. So 15 thousandths, you think? A little bit smaller than 15 thousandths. Could be 14. Yep, 14. So first ring gap is 14 thousandths. Which is pretty good. We don't want it too small. Second ring, I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing. It's probably 13. Thinking it's 13. Might be 12. Yep, 12. So second ring is 12 thousandths. Alright, we lubed the piston. Everything is lubed up. Let's get the piston in. Put a little bit of oil on here as well. The in on the piston towards the intake. Alright, looking good. Let's get the other clip in there. Alright, so I just noticed on this piston, I just had it put on. And I was going to install the other clip because I already had the other clip installed there. The pin right here would not go all the way in. It was bottoming out right here, but it was still overlapping, so the pin couldn't go in. So the tolerances on this were a little bit off. I had to take a grinder and grind that off a little bit, so then that the clip could fit in there. Otherwise, there's no way it would have fit because it was bottoming out here. And when you push it all the way in, the clip would not fit in there. So I ground that off, and now it's securely in there when we install it. So let's reinstall it. And yeah, I thought I'd just let you guys know. Check that clip, that it's all the way in that groove. Otherwise, that clip will come out and wreck your whole bike. All right, we've got the cylinder all lubed up here. Let's try to fit this on. We don't have that last bolt in there, but we can always get that in there after. Alright, cylinder's on, everything is good. We tested it out, and I turn over the engine. Piston looks really good in there, nice and smooth. Cam chain is still on, so that's good. We're going to leave this off until we get the head on, because sometimes that cam chain can come off, and it's easier to get it back on down here than it is trying to fish it over the sprocket down there. So, all right, on to the next step. Let's try to get this thing bolted down here. All right, for the forward bolts right here, torque specs are 33 foot-pounds. For the two side ones down here, I believe they're 7. I really don't even torque those down. I just do it by feel, because those can strip out really easily. So that's all done. Let's start trying to work on this thing again. We gotta get that stud out before we can go any further. Oh, finally, 2 hours later, trying to get this thing out. It finally budged, and we got her without damaging it. Look at that. Whew. That feels good. All right, clean up the threads and we'll install that and we can continue the top end. All right, head is going on next. See if we can fish this thing through. Cam chain here. All right, head is all on, looking good. I did notice, however, that the decompression pin and spring is missing from this. And I'm not sure if that's why this thing didn't have compression, and that's why they tore it down, or if when they were tearing it down, they lost the pin and the spring. I'm not sure. But we've got to order that up. I didn't realize that was missing before. So before we get the cam on, we have to get that decompression mechanism in there. Otherwise, this thing won't run. So we're gonna be waiting on that to get here. Let's get this chain and sprocket switched out, and hopefully the case behind here isn't split, because it looks like that bolt is broken off right there. If you look at the wiring right here, you can see that's been messed with as well. So there's a green wire, that's what it's supposed to be going into this wire right here. So it looks like they had problems with that wire at one point as well. Let's get this off of there. Alright. So it doesn't look like any damage behind here to the case or anything. Let's see if that screw hole still has some threads in it. Be nice to get a bolt in there. Oh yeah, we should be able to get a bolt in there. Not many threads left. It's right at the end of it. Which is kind of a bummer. The one in the bottom is fine though. But yeah, let's get this chain off. You can see how rusty it is, it's horrible. Alright, there is no master link on this chain, so we gotta cut it off. Let's see how that works here. Alright. Well, that came off pretty easily. Alright, we've got the new chain and sprockets right here. Let's install those next. Get the old sprocket off here. So the sprocket has two sides, one's flat, one's kind of out like that, so I want to make sure that goes on the right way. Just like that. Alright, front sprocket's on. Now the rear sprocket needs to come off. In order for that to be changed out, we've got to take off the wheel. this comes off, slides right out. All right, new one going on here. Put it on this way. It goes around this thing. It sits like that. All right, chain's a little bit long, so we want to cut it. I think we're gonna cut it right here. Get our tool on here. We can adjust the chain, but that was the next best spot to get that detached from. Otherwise it would have been too short. There we go. All right, new chain and sprockets are installed. All right, let's see what's going on with this air filter. Get this replaced. It's pretty gross. Cage is in there still, that's good. Ah, there we go. Got the cage out. There's the cage. Yeah, the air filter is, I'd say that's toast. Pretty bad. Alright, let's get that vacuumed out. Bunch of crap in there. Alright, here's the air filter. You can buy these on Amazon for like really cheap. I think I paid $7 for it. You do need to oil it. It doesn't come pre-oiled. Got a little K&N filter oil. Just gonna spray that. Don't have much of it left here. All right, that's good. And then I'm gonna rub that in a little bit. Sure it gets through all the foam. Alright, new air filters installed. I had to modify the cage to make that work, but it's all on there, looking good. Alright, let's get these grips off and get some new ones on there. Right now there's two different grips, I don't like that. Alright, let's clean up this handlebar. Because like I said, this build is just the cheapest one we could do. These will work just fine, but these are the grips we got. Pro grip, they're called. So, all the pros use them. Alright, new grips are looking pretty good, at least they match now. And they're on all the way. So, I think we're going to wrap it up here for today. We didn't get as far as I wanted to because of the decompression spring. So next video we'll have to get this whole thing together and attempt the first start and hopefully the first ride. So it's definitely coming along. We'll see how long these cheap parts last on it. It should be interesting. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are